that is requiring that Kenyan citizens be additional directors in the company. That's requiring that the leadership of Safaricom PLC should remain headed by a Kenyan. And so these are some of the safeguards that because decisions in a company is made in the boardroom through the directors. So there is that assurance. There is more directors, independent directors being provided for, who must be Kenyan citizen, and the CEO must continue being Kenyan. So that takes care of the question that Honorable Nyenze had asked. The issue of what Mheshimiwa from Meru asked, Bishop asked, you know, if you were to take 500 million shillings and give to 290 constituencies, that would be 1.43 trillion shillings. This transaction is only 260 billion shillings. But of course, the PS would address that question better. How to ensure there is equity in terms of the use of that particular money?
Point of order, through Speaker. The chairman is misleading us. He's not giving us the truth as it is, because if it's 290 billion, you divide by constituencies which are there, that is 291 constituencies. It will be 291 billion. So if you divide by 500, it will be 145 billion. Then the balance can go to the government. As simple as that.
Is
simple,
that
simple mathematics?
Is that mathematics in Chinese or which language?
Just ordinary.
Your numbers sound strange, Kirima.
Maybe you are not getting what I'm saying. We are saying that the figure we are about to realize after the sale is 240 billion.
Yes.
And we have...
How many constituents do we have?
291.
290.
290, yes, sorry, 290.
Yes.
So if you take a billion per constituency, it will be if it is 291, it will be, if it will be 290, it will be 290 billion. As simple as that. Simple mathematics.
Simple
if you divide, if you have it divided into just 500 million,
you've
not
made
billion.
Your point. Simple mathematics, strange economics. Yes.
I don't want to argue on the numbers, but your numbers are completely, let me not comment. On the issue of dealers, which was a very valid matter raised, it's for a fact. Dealers of Safaricom constitute a very huge constituency. In fact, Safaricom dealers employ directly and indirectly around 3 million people. And therefore, it is absolutely important that we safeguard the interest of those particular dealers. They appeared before our committee, and one of the asks, we thought that there is a redundancy. The diversity talks about a redundancy clause of 3 years, but 3 years is not sufficient. There is also something they mentioned to us about what's called residual income, because they have invested. The Safaricom shops you see in our towns is not owned by Safaricom. It is investment of private Kenyans. And therefore, it is absolutely necessary that we safeguard that particular business. Yes, it is true. In some instances, for example, how Vodacom operates in South Africa, they do not recognize that residual income for dealers. And therefore, there is that risk. And I want to assure you that jointly with the Committee of Privatization, one of the things we are really considering is having an express clause in, that we propose into the House to make sure that there is conservation of the interests of the Safaricom dealers in this particular transaction. So at least we make sure that, you know, if it's really working, why fix it? We have 5 million Kenyans that are working in that particular business. Why would you want to close that particular business? I think that is those are the questions that were.
Take him the mic. Yes. What's your point of order?
You know, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think the chairman is not answering the question people are asking. And I want to put it the way it should be. The question being asked is, after this deal goes through, Kenya government will not have a shareholding of 20%. Now, when you start saying you put conditions to a shareholder who has 55%, how realistic is that? That's the question you're asking. Because as you put conditions on who will be heading the institution, but your shareholding will only be 20%. That's the thing you should clarify to us.
But it's been like that even.
The sale of this particular share agreement between Vodacom and GOK must be done according to our laws, to our constitution and our PFM. It's not just a discussion between. It's not what Vodacom wants. It is sale of public shares, and it must be done according to our laws. And what does the PFM Act say? That this particular proposal must come to Parliament, and Parliament must give it express authority or approval. How does Parliament do that particular approval? It is through the sessional paper that was tabled by the leader of majority party on 5th of December. What measures do we have as a House? Approve it as it is, reject it, or approve with amendments. So if we add a clause that says the transaction must only be complete in this particular way, that would mean the National Treasury, in their transaction agreement with Vodacom, must put that as a condition for that particular sale. And once it's put there in writing and becomes a contract, it will become binding to the two shareholding parties. Thank you.
PS. Yes. There's a lady down. Yes.